listening to Second Wind with Joyce Buford, where women who are ready to expand their life adventure discover the tools to stop playing small and tap into the courage required to enjoy their second wind. Welcome. Second Wind Podcast is here today to encourage you to play full out by getting you to know yourself first. And today, the most interesting thing I love about this show, I love it, without even having heard what she's going to say, is that our focus today is on the subconscious mind. And it's also about the mind-body link between you, emotion, and money. Now, honestly, which one out of listener out there does not want to know about money? I do. My hand's raised. I want to know about money. Aren't we always challenged and fascinated by that whole subject? Well, let me share that the person that's with us today is known as the Mind Whisperer. Dawna Campbell combines her past knowledge, wisdom, and experience to assist in creating and restoring a life of happiness, prosperity, and love. Dawna has over 25 combined years of professional experience as a former financial advisor and author of her #1 international best-selling book, Financially Fit. She brings the world of money and energy body together. She is a professional speaker, sharing her techniques during interactive workshops and maintains an international private practice. She resides in Big Fork, Montana. Love that. Just beautiful, beautiful. And has 3 beautiful children. So welcome. I am so excited that you're here, Dawna.
Yes, and thank you.
I'm ready. So tell us how you got into this, how you got into the fascination of money. Of course, you were a financial advisor, but everybody seems to struggle a bit with money, except those that have lots of money.
Right. And those that have lots of money struggle with other things, such as, I have everything, how am I happy? So that's a whole set of issues there. So
yeah, that is.
I was a financial advisor and a managing principal of an investment firm. And I was responsible for $500 million of other people's money. So that amount of stress, it broke down my health. And after 2 years in the medical community, not one doctor could figure out what was wrong with me. So I turned to natural healing, natural medicine, and I met a person who did some sort of energy oriental medicine, and she figured out that I could not digest food. And she said to me, there's something on the outside life that you can't digest either. And as my health was regaining, I could start digesting food. What I couldn't digest in the outside world was the infidelity of my marriage and the amount of anger that I was absorbing. So that was my introduction to the mind-body connection of how our emotions play within our body on a health standpoint. And then, of course, how it also related to my relationship. So I left, I moved to an ashram for about a year to study meditation and brainwave patterns and healing, and because I was what I had in common. Right. And when I left my studies, I was going back into the financial services world, but nobody was hiring because it was the global recession. So then the third area people want change in is in their wealth category. And I was financially devastated being a single parent with 2 children at that time. So I was my own first client. And after I couldn't be employed, I decided to stay in the healing realm and keep studying. And I met a medicine woman. I studied with yogic healers, Buddhist monks, to uncover what some of these secrets are and how it all relates to our lives in the areas of health, wealth, and relationships. And there's a direct correlation to money.
Oh, I'm most anxious to hear. I always like to, everything you say, I kind of relate to me. And I had, I think you could say, uh, unhealthy marriage. Not in the beginning. Not in the
Right.
beginning. They're all wonderful and fun. And then as time went on, it sort of cratered. So I went through a divorce almost 20 years ago. And um, I think there's something going on, but I can't find the answer.
Right.
So I'm wondering how much of that is playing in my life
Mhm.
with your comments. I'm going,
Yes.
oh, yeah.
Yes, it does. Because here's how it works. So regardless if it's in the category of wealth, relationships, maybe it's something personal to you in health, your subconscious records everything from the day that you are born to the day you exit this earth. And it records it as a literal event, but it's
Mhm,
constantly assigning the emotions and feelings that you are feeling moment by moment to those events.
mhm,
Now, the problem for us is that we only have awareness of about 10% of the time. We know this. Scientists measured Albert Einstein's brain, his conscious awareness was 10%. So that means 90% of the time we don't know what we're feeling or the emotions that got associated to the event. And the subconscious reacts as a automated response system giving us patterns to live by. And it repeats it over and over and over. So you could have gotten stuck in a moment of frustration associated with an event and repeated a pattern of frustration. And then pretty soon it's pretty well escalated and it's everywhere in life.
mhm,
So, what I do and why I get called a mind whisperer is I utilize the techniques that the medicine woman taught me. I start with where it is you want to go, how you feel not being there, where
mhm,
it got connected in the body, and what was the original event where that emotion first got encoded to the subconscious. And then we reprogram it to a frequency, which is a different feeling or vibration or emotion that you needed. We didn't need frustration when we were, 4 years old. We didn't need to be stressed out the first day of school. We needed to be loved or nurtured or valued.
mhm,
And when we shift that vibration, the event, like going to school, did not change, but how you felt about it, everything in the paradigm changed and it gives you a new operating system. It's like a software override and a
mhm.
new pattern to be. So you're absolutely right. Those patterns, even with relationships, are cyclical and they will surface and come back up until you uncover the gift of what it is that you are learning.
Mm, that all sounds exciting and yet heavy. Heavy, heavy.
Could
Maybe
be.
not in the ashram. I I
Mhm,
want to just ask a little question. I'm
uh-huh,
kind of diverting a little bit. What I've always, I do hear of those people that study and really
mhm.
go to ashrams. What is it that is the reason that so many choose to go to really relive and eat, pray, love, basically, where
Right.
she goes to the ashram.
Mhm.
Is it just the meditation, or is it the connection with yourself, or what is it that makes that such a powerful life changer?
Right. I think it's a connection to all things. So for me, I had studied with a Zen Buddhist monk just before I had went, and he taught us a walking meditation. And
Mhm,
he said, after 20 minutes of walking, he said, this is a metaphor for life. Meditation isn't something you do, it's something you become. So, in that state of doing the walk with the meditation, that's how you should live your life every moment. And I
mhm,
was hooked. So I knew I needed to go to the ashram. I knew I needed to discover myself and learn all about me because I had just spent how many years living my life thinking that I was living it for other people because I was
yes,
doing what they wanted me to do, not what I wanted to do.
yeah,
And so I went to the ashram to become meditation. It's like becoming the prayer that you prayed. And then what
mhm,
I learned from that is not only a connection to yourself, but also a connection to what we call source energy, the energy that moves through all things. It's a pure divine love essence that's in everything. It's in every plant, it's in every animal, it's in every person, everything that is living. And that's how we are all connected. And that's the basis of how I do the work that I do today.
ah. Well, I I agree that with your statement that happiness is not found in the money. I
Right.
do. I was in a very financially gifted relationship, and I was miserable. And so I truly believe that.
Mhm.
However, there are so many that struggle with the dream that answers are found with, if I didn't have to struggle so much, if I didn't have to do this. And um, I think I know I'm a big opponent of getting to find what you need,
Mhm.
what me needs as a
Right.
person to move
Yes.
on. So, how do you kind of what is the first thing you work on when you work with somebody? I know you talked
Mm.
about some of the foundation, but
Right. So the first thing is happiness is on the inside. It's not outside of you because the circumstances outside of you can shift and change. And yes, they will add to your happiness or take away from your happiness, but you have to be internally happy first. And what
mm,
was really interesting after the last several years of working with clients was there was this component that money was going to make you happy, but money's not on the inside of you. Happiness is, because
mhm,
I know people that have not a lot of money, but are internally happy and are living a beautiful, simple life just like they desire. And I know
mhm.
people with lots of money, millionaires, who are not happy because they don't know how to find that happiness. So the question is the same: how do I find the happiness inside? And one
Mhm.
of the things I like to talk about is keeping a happiness journal. And at the end of every day, write down all of your happy moments. And after a week or 2 weeks, you review it, you're going to find that the happiness wasn't necessarily in something that you purchased through money. It was more than likely a relationship connection to something or someone, and you felt good about it. So
Now,
that's one of the things we talk about.
now I've not heard about the happiness journal. I've heard of the gratitude journal before, which is that the same? Gratitude.
Same principle, different topic, because you can have gratitude for things but not necessarily happiness for it. And your happiness might be different than the gratitude. So I really did keep a gratitude journal. I had an
Yeah.
employer several years ago come to me, and every day they were in the office, they would say, "Are you happy? Are you happy?" And every time it got so to the point that when you saw them, you wanted to hide because you started assessing your happiness. And it was, well, I'm like 87% happy. Well, why can't I be 100% happy? Well, I was happy yesterday. I'd be happier more if this happened. And I had all of these ways to quantify happiness. And then I finally just gave up and I went, what do I really need from me to be happy? So I started writing down in a happiness journal because what I was doing was I was focusing on the areas of where I wasn't happy. Well, I'm only half happy today. How come I'm not 100%? So the other half was over here. How come that couldn't change? And it was invoking other feelings such as anger and stress and worry and pressure. And I didn't want those. So by focusing on happiness and writing it down in a journal, it kept me focused on creating more happiness to where, 98% of the day, most every single day, I'm just happy. It just is. And that's how I learned. And what I discovered was my son's in the military. It was when I got a letter from basic camp. Um, and it was during the pandemic when he was at the military at basic. And it was like that brought me great joy because it was
Yeah.
connection.
Yeah.
Those were some of the best days.
Right. I I sort of the question that was coming across my mind when you were talking about happiness. I wonder if you have struggled with actually knowing what happiness is,
Mhm.
because it's
Yeah,
hard to put a we, we because we do make it so much of things outside of us.
we do.
They'd say happiness is my wedding day, happiness is my child birthday, but they're all big, big events. What
Yes.
we're striving for is really happiness in the simple day,
Yes.
right?
Absolutely. Because that will create more and more happiness and lead to the bigger days. I grew up in a very angry household, and my mom was a very angry person. She was very bitter.
Mhm.
And I never understood that. And I know when I got married, my marriage was less angry than the household I grew up in. So I thought I was winning. And that was when the infidelity was there, and then the anger, and that was what I was digesting. Tell you some of my health problems because I wasn't able to digest food. I was also trying to lose the excess weight from having my second child at the time. So I was going to the gym 6 days a week. I had a personal trainer. I counted calories, kept food logs. A year and a half later, nothing changed. When I realized the environment that I was living in with the amount of anger, he left. And in 3 months, I quit going to the gym, didn't keep food logs. If I wanted brownies for dinner, I ate them because I was happy eating them. And in 3 months, 40 pounds fell off of my body because I was invoking happiness and I wasn't in this angry environment. I did whatever I wanted, however I wanted, when I wanted, and it brought me happiness. There was this freedom that wasn't there before. And I remember walking into the financial office, my assistant going, Dawna, you need to buy new clothes. I'm like, what do you mean? I shopped 4 sizes and didn't even know in those 3 months.
Oh
Didn't
my
even know.
gosh.
That's the energy of anger.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
will keep on an emotional weight. So my life path has been, how do I find this happiness every day?
Yes. Wouldn't that be a super way to lose weight? I like that idea.
Yes.
Because a
Just
lot
invoke
of us
happiness and the weight will come off.
eat out of frustration. I
Yeah.
mean, it's take our mind off of what we're
Right. Because
stressing.
what you're feeling while you're eating is what you're digesting. And I was always in an angry state. Even though I was eating healthy, I was digesting anger. Well, if you're happy eating it, even if it's not good for you, and it just doesn't matter, it released weight because I was eating happiness instead.
So if I'm overeating now, I eat all the time. So does that mean that it's not, I don't realize it's not always anger. You
Right.
identify what that is that
Yeah.
you're struggling with, right?
Right. So in that moment when you know you want to eat and it's in the overeating, binge eating category, stop yourself and ask, what is it that I'm feeling right now in this moment to why I want to fill it with food? And I identify the feeling and an emotion. It might be stress, it could be worry, it could be pressure, it could be feeling like you weren't enough, or that the person you just got done talking to you didn't listen to your point of view. Could be anything like that. So
Right.
identify what that is, go to the opposite emotion. And so if it's stress, you might need to have peace and calmness and start eating from a peace and calmness point of view, not the stress point of view, for example.
Yeah.
And that will shift how you digest your food.
Oh, yes. Do you think that as we mature, so many women deal with the belly fat?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a result just of where now the 50 plus body kind of collects the weight? Or is that also a message of not digesting, not using our food in our body properly? Is there an opinion on that?
I will say that I have that like with everybody else, but I've had it my entire life. It can be a couple of different things. If you've had children, and because those muscles got stretched, we don't exercise, move our body, move that part of our body to tighten those muscles back up again. It can be hormonal related, absolutely. And so it's about getting the right mix of hormones for you yourself.
Right.
Some of it can be diet induced as well, but it's an area where we don't move or we're not as mobilized as much. And
Right.
so we don't burn the fat that gets accumulated there like we would maybe with our arms, moving our arms. There are some simple exercises that you can do to do that.
Right.
I will say that when your body weight comes more into proportion, that area will also slim down and come off of you as the fat comes off and the muscle mass comes in.
Right. So you address in your questions here that we're talking about, money is an emotion.
Yeah, money is emotional.
I think money is, I'm not sure. Okay, explain that.
Yes, here's what I mean by money is emotional.
Okay.
By itself, money doesn't do anything unless you give it an energy. And
Mhm,
that energy that you give it is from you. Your
mhm,
energy is feelings and emotions. So whatever you're feeling in the moment through that with money, just like food, money will become emotional. So oftentimes when I'm working with clients, they'll get down to things like, I just wanted to know that I was worthy or that I was important or I'm valued and appreciated. Well,
mhm,
those were the same words that were being used in the financial services world. Here is your net worth. Your
mhm.
portfolio value is your
Okay.
assets appreciated. Oh, and do you have enough money to fund XYZ goal? And if you didn't feel like you were enough on the inside, chances are you didn't have enough on the outside. So there was a direct correlation. And I was learning that no matter what area I was working on with the client, because the universe is it's universal, it's all.
Mhm,
When I made those changes, so they had appreciation, they had value, they had that sense of importance, even in the area of health or relationships, their money supply always increased. So there's a direct correlation to how we think and feel about ourselves to how money comes into life.
yeah, yeah. Uh, so, what are the five human emotions
Mhm.
that we need to worry about? Because one of the things that through my own personal study, um, one of the biggest ones is for women is I'm not enough. I'm never enough. I do, but I'm never enough. And
Right.
does that come from outside or does that come repercussions that affect us
Mhm,
negatively, and so we take it in. It's
mhm.
probably been since we were 5 and 6 and 7, and we're just living
Exactly.
in an environment that supports that.
Right.
Right.
Usually what happens, like with any emotion, I'm not enough. Well,
Mhm.
there was probably an event that something happened that you got in trouble, or someone didn't think you did it just right, or you felt an energy of shame or something of that nature. And then you
Mhm.
internalized it, and then you got focused and stuck on that event because you didn't feel the best that you could in that moment. So it
Right.
kept repeating instead of looking at it from the opposite point of view of what did I really need in this moment? I know I'm enough. I got in trouble. And so there's that correlation of the behavior. So we usually learn it from the outside in and then internalize it. Some of
Mhm.
it can also be in the DNA as well,
Yep.
because our DNA is also our operating system. So there could be some things, coming through the family lineage that way to do that. But the five main emotions that there are, the first one is, and all feelings come from these five emotions. Fear is the first emotion. There's two types of fear: rational fear and irrational fear.
Mhm.
Rational fear is I live here in Montana. If I'm out hiking and I see a bear, you get out of the bear's way because it's going to keep you safe. Irrational fear is what we want to look at. And that is, anytime something like fearing that someone's not going to accept something about you, or somebody's not going to be nice, or that you sent love to this person and it came back in a harmful way, those types of things. So we want to look at fear from that. Fear is saying that there's an absence of love in the moment because you don't see the love. But
Yep.
if used right, it'll awaken you to that love. The
Mhm.
second main emotion is anger. Anger is saying something about the situation needs to change. So we can see the love, experience the love. We just have to identify what that change is. So when there's anger, we just want to make sure that we're identifying, okay, I'm angry, something needs to change in this situation to move forward. What do I need for me? Not for
Mhm.
them, but for me, because I'm the one with the anger, for example. The third is
Can I
sadness.
ask a question about that
Sure.
first?
Yes.
Does the anger come do I need to ask the question, "Why am I angry?" Is that the question? Or is it the situation I'm angry at?
The situation. Yes.
Okay.
So I feel, oh, this just happened. Now I have anger. Wait, why am I responding angrily? What needs to change about the situation for me
Mhm.
not to have anger?
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
what needs to change? Because usually the anger comes up, it's like there's conflict, there's tension, there's pressure. and we get angry because we know something needs to change. We don't always recognize what needs to change in that moment. But when you have a few moments there, stop yourself and look and see, well, what was it about that situation that needed to change? This person was behaving this way. The situation was like this. The environment was like this. I felt like this. What did I need for me so it would be better
Mm-hmm.
in
Right.
that? The third emotion is sadness. And sadness is unexpressed love that you've held on the inside that didn't come out. So it turns into grief, it turns into loneliness, it turns into, because you're holding it all in and not sharing it with other people. So once you start releasing the love you have on the inside, the sadness often goes away.
Hmm.
The fourth emotion is happiness and joy. All the feeling good things that we want to have. So the three lower ones are designed to wake us up to get us to these top two emotions. So happiness and joy. And then the fifth one, and that's the doorway, the gateway to opening up the doorway to love, which is the fifth emotion, which is just love. So if you want to just be in that love state, the happiness, the joy is the gateway to that, to open up the doorway, while the other three are designed to wake you up just to be happy.
Okay. Yes. Well, I bet there's several out there that have felt really true loneliness through this pandemic that we've been going through. So, yeah, I would think we felt really, it was more than just feeling it because we were living it.
Yes.
And I think that there are a lot of people out there that can address how painful that is.
Yes,
Have
absolutely.
gone through something like that.
Don't confuse loneliness, though, with being alone, because you can be
Yes.
alone without being lonely,
Yes.
and you can be lonely in a crowd of people.
That's
I remember when
true.
I first moved to an ashram, and I was by myself a lot. And I say by myself instead of alone because there weren't really any other people around because I had to internalize and go to me. But I remember there was times that I just felt completely lonely because you're so used to having that mass energy around you. So I would do things. I would take the train, go into downtown Portland where I was living, sit in a coffee shop by myself to be around people, but write in a journal or play with cards or do different things.
Right.
And so I didn't feel lonely. I would overcome that because I could be in the energy of people, but yet still be by myself. Now, this last year with the pandemic, it was so much harder to do that because everything and everybody was on lockdown and all of that was taken away. So I think there's a gift in some of that to return back to your divine self, in that get good with who you are, because we all had to be by ourselves with ourselves. So I fared pretty well. I was used to it. So I just went out on my kayak a lot. But yes, it was very, very challenging for a lot of people because it invoked that loneliness, which is you have all of this love to express and there's like nobody to express it to.
Right.
So hopefully they learn to express it to themselves.
Yes. I know several people that have made, from the results of the past 2 years, have made life changes in the way they're approaching life, their business, whatever it is. I'm sure there were a few divorces that happened over this as well, maybe some marriages. But really, the time for reflection was so healthy, actually.
Yeah.
People could correct where they were. So,
absolutely.
awesome. Now, you said where was your ashram?
It was in the Portland area.
Really?
I
I'm
stayed
so
in the
glad
US.
there's one in the US.
There's a couple. I stayed in a US version of it. And so, and I lived in the community and did the different programs and everything that they had. So
Yeah. I always think of ashram going to India or someplace. So that's great to know.
yes,
Just Google ashrams. And
there
there's
you go.
a
In the
whole list.
US, you'll find some.
Is there one in Texas? It'd be around Boston if they were. So, all right. So we've seen people pivot and change their their lives. For me, it took uh, um, 2 deaths that
Mhm.
kind of drew my attention and jolted my world. And they were healthy deaths. I know that sounds weird, but they really were. They were sick. They needed to go.
Mhm.
And just to shuck the pain they were experiencing.
Yeah.
But even so, it was the change of my environment.
Yes.
So, talk about when you say pivoting
Uh-huh.
and shifting strategies.
Yes. The very first way that I learned this was from the medicine woman. And I was at the time of my life, I just left the ashram. I was with another person in a spiritual relationship,
Hmm.
and he kept trying to isolate me. And I did not realize this or know this at the time. And his energy got very volatile. And he would say things like, it's all just energy. It's your choice to receive it as positive or negative. And you're sitting there going, but you just hit me. That's not,
Oh,
no,
not
I
good.
don't think so. So there was, he was starting to go into some domestic violence. So I left. But what the medicine woman taught me, because she knew the nature of the volatile situation before it even happened, was when you're in a room, when you're in an environment, and things are starting to not feel right, move. Because every time you move, your body moves, the energy of the room will pivot and shift, it will change. So if you were sitting down, say you're reading a book, and he starts to do whatever, stand up, go to the bathroom, get a glass of water, wash your hands. If you need to, leave the house, whatever it is, because every time you physically move, it changes the environment that you're in.
Hmm.
And the next step that she taught me how to do, because I did do that a lot, and it's like, oh, this isn't feeling right. I'm going to get up and start moving around. Was how to do it on an emotional level. And so what she had me do was share her a story of how I grew up near poverty. I grew up in Silicon Valley that way. And I related the story as a factual event, kind of like a documentary, which was probably pretty boring. So then she
Mhm.
had me retell the story from a place of a comedy, because she believed that if you had a life review at the end of life, you might as well laugh along the way.
Yeah.
And then she had me retell the story again, but from a sad, tragic love story. So my version is like, Romeo and Juliet, and the thieves are stealing all the money, everything. The
Yeah.
fourth time she had me share the story was from a place of abundance and prosperity and happiness. So I thought I nailed that. And
Mhm.
then she had me say it one more time, but from the place of a higher power or something or somebody that created me from that perspective. And the energy and the love and everything that I felt in those moments, knowing that you're worthy, knowing that you're enough, that you matter,
Mhm.
changed everything in my life. And that was my pivot and shift moment. So, what I've done is I've learned to take that whole process, which took a day,
Mhm.
condense it down, ask specific questions, and then witness that pivot and shift inside of you from the lower energy, like me living in poverty, to being worthy of life.
Mhm.
Two totally different points of view, and how to shift that within somebody and in their brain, whatever their words are, whatever they needed, it's their journey. But she taught me how to do that. And that's why I get called a mind whisperer, because I'm sharing in an energy field with the other person. I'm asking questions, and then they tell me what they need or what they want through that. And then I ask them if they want the change. And when they say yes, it happens instantaneously in the brain, and then they have a whole new operating system. So people are like, you've explained it, you've done it on me, we don't know how it works. It's just like magic, just like a dog whisperer, just like a horse whisperer. And I'm like, but it's simple physics, it's easy. But that's the process. That's how I learned how to pivot and shift. I got to use my own life over several months as an example. And
Mhm.
in that situation that I was in, I had to eventually pivot and shift and move to a different state. So I moved back to where I started.
Mhm.
He followed me, but then yes, there's gifts and things. He got incredibly sick after that, was not around him, and it was several years later that I saw that he died of brain cancer.
Oh,
So, but he needed to go and come back and do it differently because
mm,
of all the resentment that he had. So yeah.
mm. In the pivoted shift, is it individual when you help somebody through it? It's individual to their journey.
Yes,
In other
but
words, you don't always ask the same, or there's not a set.
I ask the same question.
Oh, do you? Okay.
The answers may be different or they might vary on an individual level, but I also do a group training program to teach how to do this called the Financially Fit program. And in the group setting, I'm teaching you how to do this. You're doing your own individual work, but there is always a commonality within the group. So it's kind of like if you're in front of 200 people, 75 of them are going to have the exact same set of those 5 basic emotions of what's going on, and 25% will be different. So anytime in a group setting, if you're asking for a change, if you believe it resonates with you, all you have to do is say yes, and it happens for you also, because I can witness simultaneously for more than one person at a time. So, but there'll be commonalities with people
Yeah.
with it.
Um,
Everyone's story is similar. I didn't know the similarities of things. I shared my story of when I almost died in that relationship with the domestic violence.
yes.
And when I got done, I didn't realize that the person I was talking to, that was his story growing up. It didn't happen to him, but he watched it with his mom. So it was like he would have been my child in that same scenario. And I had no idea until afterwards. We had that similarity, that common tie, because we always connect to people that we resonate with energetically. So there'll always be something like that. Details might be a little different, but the same scenarios pop up.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. On your website, I think you speak about that experience, don't you?
I
With
do. Yeah.
him?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yes.
You have 3 videos on there
Yes.
that are very interesting to watch and listen to. But tell us what about your website and
Yeah.
what you offer on your
Yes.
website. Lots of good
So
stuff.
yes. So it's just DawnaCampbell.com. It's my name. And on there, you'll learn a little bit about me, my journey, what I've gone through. There are some videos on there that you can watch and how it might relate for you.
Mhm.
But I also offer different things. So on there, there's a section for meditations. They are set my voice, meditative style to music with sound frequencies. I use solfeggio frequencies, the pure frequency tones for healing. And
Mhm.
in those are common things that when you listen to it, you can release the lower energy and invite the higher energy to come in. And those are just things
Oh,
that I offer for people. So if you
yeah.
didn't go through the whole process, you can listen to one of those and it will start shifting and changing for you. I do offer individual sessions and group packages for people for them to process and work on themselves with what they have going on. And then I have the Financially Fit program that's coming up here several times this fall, where I will teach you the method. It's in a group setting, and then you'll be able to do the process, and I'll do the mentoring and the training along the way and help each person to go through the process. And then I also have a different program called Abundant Money. And in that, it's a 6-week program. And what we're doing is you have a little bit of homework in between. You're still doing the process, but it's another layer deeper, and that includes personal coaching, mentoring sessions with me, or me just doing healing work on you. And so there's a lot more features in that one there.
Yeah. So where would be a good place to start? Because you have several options that sound exciting and interesting, and you go, "Oh,
Yeah.
that's me," and
Yeah.
then you go, "Well, wait, this one could be me."
Right. So to get started, if you want to learn and do some of this and have the skill set and the strategies to utilize every day for you, I would start with the Financially Fit program
Mm,
and learn a little bit about how to do it, and then start making those changes yourself. If
Mhm.
you're a person that would just rather have it done for you and you don't want to learn, you don't want to know, you just want it done, then I would do the group packages with the session work that way. I'm the
Ah,
type of person that shows up that, no, just do it for me. That's my personality. I don't want to learn one more thing, but people have been asking, so I will teach everything that I've known for the last 25 years and how to do this.
oh,
That's the
awesome.
Financially Fit program.
So you decided to write a book that's been
Yes.
very popular.
Yes.
And why did you decide to write a book?
I believe that it's a truth that people need to know about. And the book title is Financially Fit. I always
Yes,
have one here.
yes,
And it's
yes.
an international bestseller today. And it's all of the truths that I was learning working with my clients and how people were wanting to magnify their income and their wealth, but how it also related back to them. So in
Mhm.
this, we talked about some of the elements already, how happiness is on the inside, um, how money is emotional. I also talk about our self-sabotaging afterthoughts. So we'll create and manifest, but then these are all the things that stop it from coming and happening. And I
Right.
talk about the energy you need to be in to open up the prosperity doors, to
Oh, yeah.
allow the abundance and to flow back in. I talk about the manifesting and creation cycle in there and how we create not just by men and women, but how the brain works with masculine and feminine energy. And then
Mhm.
at the end, you're writing your own client affluence story. So the book, Financially Fit, is the precursor to the Financially Fit program. So the program's based off the book where we go into the past to discover, identify, release, and transform all the
Mhm.
stuff that got stuck in the subconscious to have
Right.
the financial affluence we're asking for.
Right. Wonderful. Now
Yeah.
your book has been out a year? Is that
Almost
right?
half a year since February.
A half year? Is that
Half
what
a
you've
year.
been doing these last 2 years? Is writing that book?
I wrote it last year, and it published February 1st of this year.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think this, I'm not questioning your work. I think it's wonderful. But
Mhm.
I do think financial um, challenges are
Uh-huh.
so big for all of us.
They are.
They are. And and when you explain that it's connected to our emotions, well, isn't that half of the stuff we have to deal with as
Yes,
we get older? You
it is.
know?
It is. And even if you approach it from the financial viewpoint, by doing that, your health will improve, your relationships will improve because it's all based on energy. And
Mhm.
money is a form of energy outside of us.
Yes. Yeah.
So here's, you might be in a pattern of resistance. You might not want to talk to this one person, so you're resisting them because you're kind of a little upset with them.
Mhm.
Well, the universe goes, oh, resistance, here, have more. And it gives you resistance in all areas of your life, not just with that
Ah,
one person. We're the ones that compartmentalize and separate in it. The universe is like, oh, in that 90%, you have sadness. So here, have more sadness. We'll just give it back. Here, have more of
yes.
this.
Yeah.
Or in that 90%, if you're happy, here, have more happiness,
Yes.
because that's how it works.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it's
Awesome.
universal.
Yes. So, we're coming to the end, but please tell my listeners how they can. We've got your website covered, but you're also on all of. And by the way, she spells her name Dawna. She
Yes,
threw a little A in there, which
yes.
if you leave that A off, you go nowhere.
You
Because
won't find me.
I've tested it.
But if you type in the whole first name, I pop up everywhere.
It's amazing how that works. So, anyway, so be sure and enter Dawna Campbell's name correctly. But she's on Facebook. So, on your Facebook, do
Uh-huh.
you offer anything on your Facebook?
Yes, on my business page, it's Dawna Campbell 811. And on there, you will find content, you will find testimonials, you will find free gifts, you will find all of our podcasts that we've been doing. All of that information is right there. And that's the main feed. I'm also on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn, I have a YouTube channel. all of that. So the easiest way to connect there in the United States, if you type in the word manifesting on your phone in your text message to the number 26786, so manifesting to 26786, it will connect you to all of that. It'll
Oh,
also
that's
connect
a
you to a free
little-
consultation half hour with me, and it'll connect you to the website as well.
Say that again.
So
Say-
manifesting,
You text that in?
manifesting,
Text that in?
yeah. So on your phone, you just open up your text message, type in the number 26786, like a phone number, and then you just in the message, just write the word manifesting.
Oh, got it.
Yes. And so
Okay.
you'll get it'll show you some information on there. It will give you a little form to fill out, and then that will connect you to the Instagram and to Facebook, the website. You can schedule a free consultation call with me, all of that. It's all connected that way.
Okay. Now, I don't want to let you go. I want to keep you all day and just talk some more.
I would stay here.
Wouldn't that be fun? All right. I have some questions though. For
Perfect.
that person that is trying to get her life together, trying to move forward, what is the most important action needed to face the fear of transition?
Love yourself first. Do it for you and be happy. Don't make a decision for somebody else. Make the decision for you.
Yes.
Put yourself first.
But I'm a mother. I have 3 kids. What am I supposed to do?
Put yourself first, because you can't give to them unless you've given to yourself.
So true. Yeah. I definitely agree with that. Would you share any pitfalls that you made in your journey that you would encourage them to avoid?
Oh my goodness. I have a lot.
I know. Isn't we think we're on a journey and it's going to straight take us to the pot of gold?
Yes,
No pun meant.
but
But
I think the biggest pitfall that I ever did was making decisions thinking that it was going to bring other people happiness, because they could choose their own happiness. And here I am. Yes, I want people around me to be happy too. But I was doing things at the sacrifice of my own happiness. Even coming down to, hey, mom, can we have this dog? I didn't want a dog. My children wanted a dog. Well,
right.
we'll take care of it. We'll love it. We'll feed it. We'll do all of this stuff. Okay. If the dog will make you everybody happy, let's get a dog. So we got a dog. Guess who didn't make happy? Me. Guess what the dog started doing? It started digging in the yard and started being destructive and doing all this stuff. And who had to feed it and take care of it and all of that? And it didn't bring me the happiness. And it didn't really bring the children happiness. They lost interest in a week.
Yes.
So if I would have made this, and it caused heartache, because eventually we had to let the dog go, because they were here to take care of it, and I was traveling, and so you make the decision for you to be happy, not because of somebody else. And it will also start teaching your children how to make those decisions for their own happiness, and that the happiness comes on the inside. Well, why would a dog make you happy? That's outside of you. Why can't we be happy without? I have lots of animals and dogs now. I'll tell you, I have 3 dogs, 2 cats, 1's pregnant, and a bunch of fish. But I've learned to find happiness in it. So
yeah.
But yeah, that's probably the biggest pitfall is, oh, if I do this for this person, they'll be happy and I'll be happy. And that's not true, because they can decide to be happy one day, you do it right the next day, and they're not happy because they had 20,000 million thoughts in between those 2 days. So you're not responsible for other people's happiness.
That's really big. It's much bigger than it sounds just saying it. But since preschool, we've tried to make people happy to love us.
Yes.
And so it's a lot of time, that you have really worked on this, making others happy. Yeah.
And the other big major pitfall is when I did not follow my own intuition. I followed somebody else's advice or guidance because I thought they knew better than me, but no one knows
smarter than me.
but nobody knows you better than yourself than you. So every time I made a decision based on something else outside of my own intuitive abilities, always bit me in the butt. So it's follow your own intuition and all of that. Those are probably the two biggest ones.
Those are pretty good. Pretty good. Now, the third one. What was your greatest success?
Wow.
That's a big one. I'm sorry. That's a kind of hard one.
Success is kind of interesting because what's one person's success might be another person's failure.
Yes.
But what I will share is the largest lesson, the hardest lesson I ever learned in life, which is a success for me today because it's the basis of everything that I do today. When I was working with a medicine woman, and that situation that I was in became volatile, and that person became physically abusive towards me. I remember the very first day that I called her and said, can I come stay with you, my two kids, while I get this sorted out? And she said no. And I was dumbfounded. And she said, I'm working with clients. I have all of this going on. No, you cannot come here. Basically, she was saying, you cannot bring that energy here to my house. And she said, what are you going to do? You need a plan. Do you have money? Do you have this? And what she did was she did not enable me to remain or be a victim. She empowered me in that moment. And then I went back, got things sorted. It happened a second time, which we agreed it would never do again. And that's when I knew I was leaving. But I had a plan in place and everything fell together. And that was one of the most empowering moments of my entire life. And I just saw this today. I kept it. I'm going to share it here real quick. Here, it says, a medicine woman's prayer. I will not rescue you, for you are not powerless. I will not fix you, for you are not broken. I will not heal you, for I see you in your wholeness. I will walk you through the darkness as you remember your light. And that's exactly
Woo!
Me.
That's strong. Makes me cry.
Yeah. That was exactly what I went through. That was my greatest success ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
And I would not trade that experience to be where I'm at today for anything.
Well, all right, Dawna, this has been powerful and so rewarding.
Yeah.
Really, I've enjoyed this very much. What a great show. I just can't thank you enough for coming quickly onto my schedule.
Surprise.
It will come when it's needed. So anyway, thank you for being the wonderful woman you are, healing those women that need your love and support now. And I just wish you the best going forward.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And many blessings for you.
Thank you. Well, okay, folks, this has been another wonderful hour. What I encourage you to do is to share the just genius of visiting with such people such as Dawna. You need a community and you need support to make a transition. You cannot do it by yourself, other than you have the steam, you have the power, as she has as she has just shared with us. But it's always great to have somebody to reach out for a great idea. So I encourage you to share this with your friend, share Second Wind with your friend, and to also plan to be here next week. Because again, we will share, we will laugh, we will cry perhaps, but we will grow. And I am so thankful that you have come today. So have a great week. You make the difference.
Joyce Buford returns next week at the same time for another edition of Second Wind. Through the Joyce Buford Empowerment System, women are receiving the support they need through their transitions and are able to reclaim their true purpose with confidence. They receive the tools they need to map out new lives. You can find out more about her coaching services at joycebufordempowers.com.